What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Redwan back here with another YouTube video. Today I want to talk to you guys about, should a woman have a job when you're in a relationship? So there's this video popping up recently where Candace Owen is debating like 20 feminists, and they're having this conversation about, should a woman have a job? And so I just want to give you guys my thought process, how we think about that. And it's not necessarily women, I'm talking more about wives. Like, and for you too, as a husband, what should you think about this? And so there's no exact right answer, in my opinion, to this. Like, there's no right and wrong, but there basically there's a lot of different circumstances where it's not that simple. It's not that simple. So we can work through it. We can think about this, and we can work through the problems, and we can see what's good and what's not good. And so, first of all, as a man, let's get one thing straight. You for sure must definitely, you have to be the one who's the ultimate breadwinner. Like, as a man, that has to be your responsibility. So whether your wife has a job or she doesn't have a job, that I think is a little bit irrelevant. If you don't have a job, I think that's a big problem, and that's a big flaw. Like, thinking that you're gonna rely on your wife to pay for the bills is completely unacceptable. It's completely against biblical principles. That is absolutely not possible. That is not how we, as Christian men who are trying to better ourselves, think about this thing. Like, there's no way in earth are we sitting around and thinking that we should be sitting at home getting paid by our wives' paychecks or our wives' earnings, however they bring in earnings at home. That's ludicrous, right? So, first and foremost, you need to be the breadwinner. You need to be the ultimate breadwinner. You need to be able to bring the money home, and you need to be paying majority of the bills. The rent should be covered by you. Your groceries should be covered by you. Her expenses should be covered by you. Like, majority of the bills that come to your house should be already covered by you. And if you're not in a financial situation yet, you shouldn't even be thinking about a wife. Do not think about a woman. Do not think about a wife until you have your own stuff figured out. I mean, when I was in this journey, I was rushing, man, because I wanted it so bad. Like, I wanted to have a relationship, I wanted to have a family. And so I was actually rushing this process a lot. And there isn't necessarily anything bad with it. If you really want it, like, why not? Go after it, chase after it, and work on it with the blessing of God. Ask God to bless you and keep working on it. Why are you going to take things slow if you really want something? Like, if you really wanted to work your way up and become fit, like become athletically built, you're going to work really hard as fast as you can. You're not going to take your time, you lazy, work out once a week. You're going to work out 4 or 5 times a day so you can fasten yourself up and move up in this journey. So the first most important thing for us to understand as men is that you need to be the primary breadwinner. If you yourself are not providing for the entire family, you don't need to worry about these things like whether my wife is working or not working. So that's the main thing. First things first is you must be the breadwinner. You must have your own money where you can actually cover bills. Like, if you cannot cover majority expenses, like if you couldn't just survive on your own paycheck without the help of your wife, then you need to rethink what you need to do in order to grow to be a better provider for your family. I mean, again, we're all called to be providers for our family. And so if you're not being a provider, guess what? You're actually not following God's command. God's command is for you to be a better provider, to be a provider for the family. So if you think you're going to work in Tim Hortons your whole life and you're unable to provide for your family, and you're going to split the bills with your wife all the time, and not ever move up or give them a proper life, maybe you want to rethink that. You want to reevaluate your life and see where you are in life, and if that's what you want to do. So that's what I would say is the first thing is. Now let's move on a little bit deeper. Let's say you were to be married. What is the ideal situation? Well, I would say that the ideal situation is that you work and she does not work. That's the ideal situation. The ideal situation is that you take care of her, She's at home, she takes care of the home, and she doesn't have to worry about money, because ultimately you're responsible for the money. That's your job as a man, to provide, to take care of the family. So ideally, she shouldn't have to work. She should be able to, take it easy at home. She can do all the home stuff. Like, I get it. Like, doing home stuff isn't easy either. There's responsibilities. But if you make a lot of money, ideally, you can hire her some housekeeping, some extra people to come help you out at the home. So it's like much easier for her to get the work done, and she can still support you through your life. But ideally, the ideal situation is that she does not work and you work, and you take care of the whole family situation. Now, we can talk about today's inflation, but I think even back from the biblical times, like, it wasn't always that the husband was the complete ultimate breadwinner. Like, even if we talk about the Proverbs 31 woman, the woman is described as somebody who's going out and she's selling stuff in the market so she can provide more money for her family. So the idea that, like, having a wife who's bringing in some income to help out the family isn't taboo, isn't something like bad for you. That is something still, like, ultimately, like it's acceptable. Like, why not? If you're in a situation where you're not there yet, like, you guys get married young, there's potential, you guys are growing, and at this certain amount of time, like, like I said, you still need to be the ultimate breadwinner. Like, you should be able to cover, let's say, 90% of bills, or 100% of bills. But when she comes in and she brings in that extra revenue, you put that aside into your savings. You put that aside for your future home mortgage, right? For the down payment for your mortgage. You invest that into stocks. So maybe that's what her extra money at the time can help you do for your life. And so you have to think about it like that, like how you're going to do this. But she can never be the breadwinner. She can be the one paying your rent, paying your groceries, taking care of your bills, buying your clothes, buying your hygiene products. That is completely unacceptable. She should not be touching the bill in those senses. But I think if you guys are in early J's, if you're really young, like I'm only 24, I'm working on my future right now, and I'm building myself. My wife is not working right now, but I'm looking for something where she can do something super laid back, where she does minimal effort. Like, I've seen people work in City of Toronto, have it super easy, just kind of do some very basic services and then making some extra income. If I were to have access to that type of income, I'm going to put that aside for the extra savings I can put for my house or for some stocks. That's how I look at that extra income. But I do not look at that extra income as like, okay, like I really need this to pay my bills. My bills, all of my bills are primarily paid by me. And unless I was in this situation, I doubt, I mean, God can bless many things, but I doubt I would be in a situation where I could have been married today if I wasn't the responsible man who went out there, who has a home for himself, who got his life figured out. And so that's very important. So, like I said, ideally you want to be in a situation where you pay all the bills and she doesn't have to touch the bill. But if you're in a young, you're in the young journey of your life, you're in the development phase, you're still building yourself, and you guys are building together, amen, beautiful, beautiful, you guys are building together. But if you're in the journey where you guys are building together, then what I think you should be doing is still, like, you should be covering all the bills. Yeah, she can work maybe for the time being, but the ultimate goal is to break her out of it, because you don't want her to be working for the rest of her life. And especially, like, think about this, like, when you have kids, are you really gonna be making her work all the time, like, or even part-time? It doesn't make any sense for you to be doing that. If she is free from that, then she can raise their kids better, give them more time, and build them up. So that's ideally where you want to be. You want to be in a situation where she has to pay no bills. And if there's a time where she can support the family, then you guys work that thing out. But it should never be like, there shouldn't be this burden of like, okay, 50% of my bills is gonna cover this and 50% of your bills is gonna cover this. No, I mean, ultimately you guys should have a joint account, have a joint bank account, put everything together, and you guys use the same card, have the same goals, and work towards the same goals. Nowadays, it's really hard to get a mortgage, especially in Canada. Like, I heard, like, unless you have like a 200K income, you can't even get a down payment on a house. So imagine me making 100K and then it's still not enough to get like a down payment on a house. That's like ridiculous. So sometimes maybe she needs to get that job, so maybe you guys can just get approved for the mortgage, but then you do what you have to do after that. Like, there's many different circumstances, very different scenarios why you might have to do what you do. But ultimately, just remember, your goal is not to have her becoming a working woman. Your job is to have her be a housewife, to have her, raise family and put that as a priority. And she should never be putting work above you. Oh my goodness, man. Like, if that's the case, you need to run. If you're with a woman right now and she's putting her career above you, run. Like, that's not the woman for you. You don't want a woman that cannot put you above the career. Like, okay, there are some personality types where they're a working person. So that's also why I was saying it's a little bit complicated there. So everything I explained makes sense so far, but there's even deeper thoughts than that, which is that there's different personality types, and there's certain personality types where they like to be working all the time and they just have a working personality. So there's some women who also have a little bit like a working personality where they're not super feelings personality. Sometimes they're a little bit working personality. Believe it or not, they exist. It's hard to believe that, like, what, a woman is not emotional, she's a little bit more working mindset. I mean, yeah, she still carries her emotions. Like, a woman will never be the person who's going to be primarily thinking dominant, logic dominant, but they're going to be emotional dominant. But there's some women who actually, they love working. They're very hardworking women. They love working. They don't always want to be in social gatherings and this and that. They love working. And so there's some women who actually like working. But if she's not able to sacrifice that for you, then there's some issues. She should easily be able to sacrifice her career, her corporate job, for the work she can do at home for you and your kids. She can replace the type of work she has to do. A woman who's like working minded, she should easily be able to just swap out her corporate job for the amount of work she can do to improve your life. Making the best meals for you, making your house on point, coming up with strategies to help you move forward, coming up with things that are gonna benefit you, and making charts for you, this, that. There's so much things that a woman can do for you if she's in that mindset. So there's some women who actually naturally gravitate towards working. For them, do they necessarily need to stop working? Again, you need to just see where it lies in your life. Like, where does it fit? Wherever the right calling is, that's where you need to go. The number one way to clear all these things up is to ask God to give you clear guidance on what you're asking for. And ask Him, and He will give you an answer. God will give you answers. Maybe He'll give it to you now, maybe He'll give it to you later. Sometimes you really want something, He doesn't give it to you now. That's because you don't need that right now. But if He's giving you some delays, then maybe He's planning something better for you, or He has a better plan for you. So believe in that, trust in the Lord, and have Him do these things for you. All right. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. That's my little conversation today about whether women should have jobs or not. So that's just what I think. What do you guys think? Huh? You guys let me know. What do you guys think? Should women have jobs or not? Maybe there's an opinion that I haven't thought about yet. So if you guys have a different opinion, which you think that I didn't mention in this video, drop it down in the comment below. I love you guys so much. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Give me a thumbs up. I love you guys. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.